Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Larkin, one half of the Steve and Mike Show. www.steveandmikeshow.com is up and running, where you can hear such shows as you're about to hear tonight. This is a special current state of Impact Wrestling audio. On the line with me is a co-host on the Total Nonstop Impact podcast, the Backstage Boy podcast with Basil, not Basil, Kyle. And I'm joined by none other than Mr. Trent Zuberi. Trent, how you doing?
Mike, I'm doing great, man. And perfect pronunciation on the last name. Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, dude, come on. How often does your last name get butchered?
Quite a bit, man. More than you think it would. They don't emphasize the right letters. You know, they go Zuberi or Zoberi. I've heard that. I'm like, there's no O there. I don't know where you guys are getting this, but but no, thanks. Perfect pronunciation. We're off to a great start here. Perfect start.
Awesome. Okay. So, dude, here's the thing. We're going to talk about the current state of Impact Wrestling, and I mean, you and I, we've been OG fans. Me since 04. I'll tell you a funny story, Trent. The first time I ever got involved with Impact Wrestling, it was TNA at the time. It was their second anniversary show. My dad's like, Jeff Hardy's going to be on this show tonight. It's only $10. Do you want to see it? I'm like, sure. And it was Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, X Division title on the line, second anniversary show.
Big night.
Yes. Yep. So I have been a fan of TNA since, TNA going on Impact. There's been so many name changes, but we'll discuss that all in this forum.
Absolutely.
Dude. What a year to start, in a way, if you actually think about it. 2004, I mean, Impact coming to fruition, the start of the 3-hour pay-per-views. That was a hell of a year for Impact.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, man. It was cool. 04 was a very, very big year. I mean, I give him credit because starting in 02 and getting to 04, I mean, doing so much in so little amount of time was, to me, it was very impressive, man. Especially because I watched since show number one. I was like, the little thing about me is, just to give you a little background on why I love it so much, people ask me, why do you love Impact / TNA so much? And I said, it's the company that made me love wrestling again, because, as everybody remembers, 2001 was like one of the worst years of wrestling if you think about it. ECW closed, WCW closed down. I was a big WCW and ECW guy. So for me, those two companies going away that year and a failed invasion that didn't even pay off into anything, I was left in limbo, man. And then here comes this company, TNA, and it's got guys I love, and it's doing it, that Southern style. I live in Chicago, but for me, I was into the Southern style. I was into WCW, especially during the boom years. So for me, this is the company that kind of had that feeling, and a little bit of ECW to it too, because it was this underdog. So man, it made me love wrestling again. So that was my big appeal to it. So when I saw their growth so quick over in short amount of time, it was like it was part of me that was growing with them.
With me, like I told you, 2004 and forward, I've seen the early NWA TNA years with Sports Entertainment Extreme Bro, Vince Russo and the whole nine. The Gathering, Julio De Niro, CM Punk, Raven. There's a lot of people that came in. Even Mad Mikey, who was the late great Crash Holly, was in there. ECMO, who was Jamal, who was going back to be an Umaga in WWE. There's so many names that really came in that first year. Obviously the memorable one was Raven, where he hits the Raven effect on Jeff Jarrett, just walks out with the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Those first couple years really set the tone for what a year it would be. And I mean, you look at 2005 going to 2006. I mean, 2005, you had Christian Cage coming in and his run. I mean, you know what's funny about it too is because we got, talk about current day, we got Scarlett Bordeaux, we got Glenn Gilberti, the Disco Inferno. It's against all odds in a few weeks, but I got to tell you, my first ever against all odds, moment probably would be Christian Cage. Like that afterwards, when he won that title from Jarrett and just the fans, everybody coming to the ring, the celebration that was.
It was fantastic, especially because Christian was that first crossover, that first major crossover, right? He was it was great, man. I loved it. I loved that it was like one of those things where we got him from the other company and we made something out of him, TNA did it. Those guys, he had a cool run, but they never trusted him with the big belt, and TNA did it. And man, and you could tell the fans loved it. It was such a cool moment because the fans really took to that idea. They're like, man, we took somebody and made him even bigger.
What's interesting here is I'm going to quote our good friend, the Taxman, because the Taxman likes to call me a wrestling encyclopedia, which I appreciate those kinds of words, Taxman. So what the Taxman is, I look at, Christian at that time, because I remember his 2005 run with the WWE. They positioned him, he was going to go against Cena, and he was doing the back and forth with Cena, and they did at one of their pay-per-views a triple threat with him, Jericho, and Christian. Jericho had turned heel at the time. And I thought to myself, why can't this be a one-on-one with just John Cena and Christian? Like, Jericho has nothing to do with this storyline. I see that they want to put him in the title picture, and this is when Jericho would take that leave of absence, and we see what Chris Jericho's come today, with New Japan, AEW, etc. You know what I'm talking about, Trent. Yep. So I'm just like, why couldn't that be like a one-on-one match on pay-per-view between the two? Even if he lost, give the guy a chance, and then you see him in TNA, and oh my God, the Jeff Jarrett matches, the Kurt Angle matches, the Abyss match at Lockdown, Abyss tacking him at his house, throwing him in the pool.
I love that.
Those vignettes were amazing, and that Lockdown match was amazing, and then it's just like, and then we saw what happened. He would go back to WWE, the ECW Championship role, but I think Christian was a major part. Another name I mentioned, Kurt Angle, just that, when you saw that Kurt Angle's coming to TNA, it's real, it's damn real. That place exploded. And
quick thing about that. I'm not trying to interrupt you. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people remember this, but when that happened, so they have the official video of that announcement when it's announced to Larry Zbyszko. He's kind of smug, and I think Jim Cornette tells him, right?
Yeah.
And the place explodes. At the time, I think Jeremy Borash put this up on some social media somewhere, but it was like raw cell phone footage from like the crowd, just like in the crowd of that reaction. And I don't know where to find it, but I recall that the official like hard camera pop doesn't do it justice, because the raw pop that happened in the arena that night was unfreaking real, man. It was so much louder than it even came across on TV. I wish I could find that video again. I would love to maybe tweet JB or something, like, can you put that up or something, because it was so cool. I don't know if did you ever see that?
I actually might have remember that, because I remember there was a stream of videos that went up. That might have been one of them, because I remember like the next day that Kurt Angle comes into the Impact Zone. He's with Terry Taylor. He's meeting like Rhino. He's saying hello to AJ Styles and the whole nine. I think it might have been in with that footage. I could be mistaken, but I remember some videos like that.
There was something, man. God, if I could find it, I will put that up, because that should be shared. It's so cool. Maybe it's on a DVD. Maybe it's on a bootleg somewhere. I'll have to look. I'll do some research on that.
Trent, I got to ask you, because I mentioned Kurt Angle there, man. Now we have WrestleMania. It's his another farewell. We saw his original farewell against the likes of Drew Galloway and Bobby Lashley. What do you think about Kurt Angle? He's going to finally get that moment at WrestleMania. A lot of people are thinking it's going to be Cena, because it all comes fruition with the WWE run with him and Cena. What do you think about Kurt Angle getting that farewell tour again, this time in the WWE auspices?
I guess it's fitting, right? You get a farewell tour, and he had a nice one in Impact, and he gets one in WWE now. I don't keep up with their product. Is he wrestling every week leading up to Mania? What's going on with that?
So this week they were in Pittsburgh, so they had Kurt do the hometown thing. He wrestled Apollo Crews, the former Uhaa Nation. It was a nice little match. He won the Olympic Slam, but I believe next week the build is we're going to find out who Kurt Angle's going to fight at Mania. I believe this coming Monday, tomorrow night, we're going to find out who his opponent's going to be.
Gotcha. Yeah, look, I really appreciate Kurt Angle. I love what he did for
Impact.
For Impact is amazing. He gave the company that full credibility. Not that Christian didn't at first, when he was being the first crossover, but Kurt Angle, man. Kurt Angle is, he's Kurt Angle. So when he came, it instantly propelled TNA at the time, and man, what an amazing run he had. His run was longer there than it was anywhere else, and so much history, so much high caliber stuff. Like I said, I don't watch WWE. I'm not a fan of their product and the company and things like that. But the guy did start there, and it's only fitting. Like, yeah, he's there. He's at, you should have a farewell tour there. That's where you are now. So you gave TNA or Impact, you gave the Impact crowd our farewell, and to me, that universe had its own thing. It's like almost like a separate universe. So ours had our thing, and our world had the farewell and the Kurt Angle career to put a stamp on, and now it's the WWE fans world to get that farewell tour. So totally fitting. I love the guy. He was nothing but great to me every time I met him at an Impact Fan Fest. So all the best to Kurt Angle.
I have to say this as well, because another one I got to mention, because we cannot give him credit. I know there's a lot of legal matters going on right now, but dude, Jeff Jarrett, with what he did, at the start and, to where he was, and the GFW stuff, which I want to ask you about really quickly.
Yeah.
But when you talk about Kurt Angle and the auspices there, you know what the thing is, Jeff Jarrett going back to WWE doing that one match with Elias went over like a fart in church. It was like, I'll be honest with you, Trent, because I tell you this, we have a little bit of laughs about this, and it's always great to talk about this because I know how passionate you are. Dude, I'm watching this and I'm like, they're doing With My Baby Tonight. It's the Road Dogg Jesse James, you know what I'm saying? It's VG James, but I'm looking at myself like, okay, so you're combining 1995 with 1999. It's Jeff Jarrett, Double J mixed with Slapnuts, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And a lot of people, I'll be honest with you, the universe nowadays does not remember With My Baby Tonight. They were probably like, dude, when With My Baby Tonight, I was 3 years old when With My Baby Tonight came out. Like, I don't remember With My Baby Tonight. I remember Slapnuts, and I remember that, him and Owen Hart as the tag champs. But I'm like, I don't remember Slapnuts. I don't remember, With My Baby Tonight. But it just went over like a fart in church. And I give, with what's going on with Jeff Jarrett, I give him a lot of credit for what he did. And I have a theory about this, Trent, that I wanted to ask you about. So, dude, we got this lawsuit going on, and Impact's pretty much trying to get this thing dismissed. That was the latest. They're trying to get it dismissed. I think pretty much on both sides, I think you and I agree. I wish it would just end. Let's get this over with. Just stop what you're doing. Let's focus on the company. But I look at it and I'm like, here's the theory I have. Because, he's under WWE's gracious now. He was just in the Hall of Fame, Trent. And I look at this, I'm like, is he trying to get this library because WWE does these documentaries. They do 24. It's on the network. Does he want, like, the GFW footage included if they do, like, a documentary piece on him? Is that why he's going after him? What are your thoughts about this whole thing, Trent?
That is the first I've heard. That is a fantastic theory. I think you are absolutely right. He wants to, but here's the thing: it's like 16 hours.
I know.
It's nothing. What are you going to sell him? Here, Jared's here's $2,000. I mean, what he wants to do with this?
Well, here's
what are you going to tell him?
Well, dude, we had Bobby Roode on that clip. We had Kurt Hawkins. We had the club. But there's a lot of former, current WWE talents, former Impact talents that are on that. So I'm thinking, hey, I guess if they want to do future documentaries on these particular individuals, let's include them there. And that's just the theory I had. And I think, like you said, I nailed it spot on. But still, there's not a lot of footage there. I remember GFW Amp being on, the GWN and just seeing all these, footage that they would do. And I'm like, yeah, but it's just, I kind of wish it would end. And I'll be honest with you, the one time I met Jeff Jarrett was at the Westbury shows on Long Island. This is, remember when Jeff Jarrett was doing the MMA fighter gimmick and he would challenge anybody in the crowd?
I did like that, and I will say I always wanted the track jacket he wore. I was like, please sell that damn track jacket.
Come on, Jeff. Oh my God, but yeah, those were some good times, man. And I mean, Tommy Dreamer was fighting him in that hardcore match, and that's another thing, man. Tommy Dreamer's on creative now. We're seeing him doing some stuff with OVE, and I'm gonna get to OVE in a second because you, sir, do a great impression of Sami Callihan.
I was just hanging out with him last night at AEW, so I haven't done it in front of him yet.
Oh.
But I plan on eventually doing it on enough podcasts that he comes up to me at AEW like, I heard you do a good impression of me, kid. Something like that. We'll get to that, though.
Okay, but, dude, I got to say this to you right now, because when we talk about Tommy Dreamer, we got Conan up in there. Tommy Dreamer is one of them with the mines. We got Philly. They're going to be in 2300 Arena for tapings. Tommy Dreamer is a huge asset going forward. I mean, he's got such a mind. He learned from Paul Heyman. So, I mean, that's an asset for Impact.
Look at the creative team right now. I mean, honestly, really break this down. At the head of it, you have Don Callis and Scott D'Amore being as VPs of the company. You have Tommy Dreamer, Raven. You have Conan in the mix. You have now Lance Storm is going to be working the Windsor tapings in creative and agenting some stuff. You have Gail Kim doing creative for the women. I mean, you have an all-star team right there. That is a really cool team because people were really worried about Sanjay's leaving and Abyss. Oh my God, Abyss has left. And granted, look, Abyss was one of those guys. He never left. He was like, I'm going to be here till the day it's over, and he left. It was very shocking. But I always say this. I say this about wrestling. I say it's about any employers. I say it's about any television show. You need to change your creative teams regularly enough because that's how you keep things fresh. If you have the same guy, the same couple of people writing and agenting stuff, everything's going to be the same for, however many years. Change it up. Get fresh ideas in there. Once you have to cycle. It's kind of a territorial thing. Like back in the territory days, you'd have guys cycle in and out. Like talent would cycle in and out because nobody would get stale. By the time somebody's ending a run in Atlanta, the next day they'll be in Charlotte. And then the next day a different guy from Charlotte will be over in LA. You cycle. Keeps things fresh. And then a year later, the guy comes back. I mean, it's a way to really liven things up, keep a good wave going, keep new ideas coming in, and I think it's great. I did not mind Sanjay and Abyss leaving. I thought it was a bummer on a more personal level for Abyss, but it's fine, man. Look at that team I just named off. You got a great team involved there. How much combined history do those guys have? Think about it. I mean, everybody just named off. What do you say? Like, over 100 years of combined history. It's phenomenal.
Exactly. And again, when you mentioned Scott D'Amore, we see him at like these Destiny shows. We saw him OVW with Tony Gunn, the OVW's World Heavyweight Champion. We got Josh Alexander. These are two prospects with these Twitch shows that helps them because we get more talent and more eyes on these promotions and more eyes on the talent coming in.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Josh Alexander, man, that's a big one. That's I'm looking forward to that one for sure. You mentioned Josh Alexander. I am very excited about that.
The walk-in weapon, and I mean, I believe you and Kyle talked about this. All Ego Ethan Page, former tag partner of Josh Alexander. I'm curious to see because I think when I first saw All Ego Ethan Page, I remember the run as Chandler Park. He was the cousin of Joseph Park. Park.
It was funny.
Yes, it was. But then he's All Ego Ethan Page. He's with Matt Sydal. He's now going solo, and I really think there's something there. There's a lot of talent there. There's something that they could do with him, and I'm really interested to see the direction they go with All Ego. He's a great heel.
All Ego's great. I think, Kyle and I talked about this on the Total Nonstop Impact, is that, is Ethan in kind of a weird limbo right now? He's a hardworking guy. He's got his body looking pretty good. He's been getting more attention. He's very proud to work at the company. He promotes it very heavily. Ego is a great asset to a roster. He's exactly the kind of guy you want on your roster because that is a solid foundational guy to build a company with. And I think he's in a period right now where I think, because he's been losing a lot, and it's like, what are you doing with him? He's kind of in limbo. I think they're kind of waiting. Maybe when Josh comes in, something happens. Either they go on, they tag him back against the Monster Mafia. I think they're just waiting for this little transition to happen with Josh, and then we'll see where it all goes. Because the two of them have great chemistry fighting each other and teaming up. I've seen, because working at AEW, they were both former AEW heavyweight champions. They came in as a tag team as the Monster Mafia, so I've seen them do both. Because Ego beat Josh for the AEW heavyweight title, so they've had a feud, they've teamed. I've seen both happen, and that was years ago. I can only imagine, with them being as better now, could be possibilities are endless on these two.
Just also want to put over, Trent, you mentioned AEW, hell of a promotion. You're doing a lot of great work with AEW. You're very welcome, dude. LAX. Sami Callihan, we see a lot of angles, a lot of great stuff going down on AEW, and I'd like to see some more talents coming in. Now, I have to ask you something. As we talk about Sami Callihan, we got this angle going with Rich Swann. I'm looking forward. We got the X Division Championship next week on Impact Wrestling. Now, Sami, I'm watching this promo in the hospital. I got to ask you, can you inform people? Because sometimes I get a case of amnesia. What did Sami say to Rich Swann in that hospital bed there, Trent?
Oh, man, he told him, he was... Oh man, he's like, we are family. I think he said something along those lines, right? He told me they're family, and what did he say? He said something like, I'm trying to remember.
I love Rich Swann.
Oh yeah, that's right. He goes, I love Rich Swann. I love you, Rich Swann. He goes, get out of here and call me in the morning.
Okay, I got to say this right now because these two, CZW, they go a long way back. And I mean, Sami Callihan, you're around him. I think with Sami Callihan, you got the volume turned up. That is Sami Callihan. He's very passionate and he's very honed with his craft. And I think that's a fair assessment right there, Trent.
I personally, and I don't say this in front of him and mark out with him, but I, keep it cool and we're working together at AEW. But he, in my opinion, I think Sami Callihan is the number one guy in pro wrestling right now. And people might disagree and say, he's a small guy, he's everywhere, he's played out. Nobody I've seen, he might be not everybody's cup of tea, but the passion that guy has and dedication to his character, to me, is an unbelievable thing. I see him at the show. After the show, we're walking out yesterday. We had a show last night called Hell Hath No Fury. He defended the title against Jake something. And he's walking out. Everybody's done. Building's broken down. We're walking out. Promoter Danny Daniels is walking out, and he's running ideas, and he's telling them thoughts. And he's like, we should do it like this, and we should do the next thing like this, and blah, blah, blah. Unbelievable, and I'm like, this guy just, this is all he thinks. It really is. Like when Don mentions like, the Ohio guys are a cult, and they're like they live in this big house and they just live like a cult. It is. They live and breathe and die this business. It's incredible. The passion those guys have for this is unreal. Unreal, man.
I think with him, because he's a guy that was trained by Les Thatcher. I'm talking about Heartland Wrestling Association.
Yes.
Switchblade Conspiracies, him and Dean Ambrose on the independent circuit, CZW. I'll be honest with you. When I saw him as Solomon Crow in NXT, he's doing this whole hacker gimmick, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's just popping in and attacking people. Where are we going with this? And I could probably say the only thing about that run, because you know me, man, wrestling encyclopedia. The only thing about that run that was really good, he had a great match with Apollo Crews, and this is also a guy he's probably wrestled many times on the independent scene. So they gelled, and then everything else was just kind of like, yeah, he was there. Like, he fought Kevin Owens, he fought Sami Zayn. I think he even mentioned this on Talk is Jericho. He's seeing these guys, like Kevin Owens, like your Sami Zayn's, come up. They're getting pushed main roster, man. Kevin Owens is beating Cena. Sami's going there too as well. So it's just kind of like, what about me? What are they going to do with me? He mentioned, he was going to originally be a part of Sanity, which Eric Young and Killian Dane and all these guys are a part of now. But it's just like, I think he kind of knew like he was just going to flounder, and he didn't want to flounder, so he opted out. And I think he bet on himself, and I think that bet is paying off, Trent.
Absolutely. It sure is. It sure. And I see that the second he bet on himself, we were the first stop after he left. He showed up at AEW, and he did a run in, and he shocked the shit out of everybody, man. It was great. So, and look, the guy's on how many TV shows? He's on Impact.
Lucha
He's
Underground.
on MLW. Lucha Underground. What else? He's got his own company, Wrestling Revolver. He also works at the Rockstar Pro, which is the Ohio one. I mean, this guy is all over the freaking world, man. He's unstoppable. Honest to God, he's one of the most talented wrestlers I've ever seen. And people say, "Oh, wrestler," quote unquote wrestler. It doesn't come down to technical moves. Right? Sami Callihan's not a technical wrestler. He doesn't do it, but that character is so larger than life. It is awesome. Very cool to see him work in person, man.
Got one more thing to add about Sami Callihan. I'll get there in one sec, but I got to tell you something. You mentioned Pro Wrestling Revolver. I know we're bouncing around. We're shooting the breeze here, Trent. Dude, yes. Rich Swann, Ace Austin, who, by the way, another one, Ace Austin, hell of a talent.
Ace Austin, yep.
And TJP is going to be fighting a triple threat match for Pro Wrestling Revolver. Man,
is he really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he's the third one, man. And I'm like, that's great. Now, that's where I got to ask you, segue, man, because we've seen TJP. We've seen TJ Perkins in Impact, Manic, Suicide, whatever you want to call him. Do you think you want to see him back at Impact as part of that X Division?
I don't. I really don't. I was never too blown away with him. I thought he was a good person. They were telling a good story. They were started to, at least, and it never really took, and they never did enough with it. I think writing kind of screwed him. But I don't know. I don't see it. For some reason, I just never connected with it. That's a personal thing. I can't really see him back in. I'd rather focus on what we got now and maybe bring some fresh faces in. I feel like he'll be considered, we're just picking up a WWE guy now. It's like, we don't need that, let's move on. Let's get some of the fresher guys out there.
Okay, and the other thing I got to mention about Sami Callihan, goddamn, man, what do you think about the Sami Callihan Austin Aries? We're continuing into live events now. Oh, it's Banana Dan. My God, what do you think about this verbal go-between online, in-person with Sami Callihan and Austin Aries?
I think it's great. I love because those are two guys that if they're working, we can't tell. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. Those are two dudes that they're so convincing that it's like, man, if you're working, none of us know that you are. I believe both were at Warrior Wrestling here in Chicago on Friday,
yes,
the 15th. And I don't believe anything happened because they weren't in the same match or anything. I don't know what happened. I was supposed to be at that show. I usually attend it with, I know the promoter, and I kind of help with some consultation on a few things, but I couldn't make it that day. I don't know if anything happened. I'm going to try to get some word on if any looks were given, if anything did happen. I doubt it. But like I said, if they're working, we don't know. Because I think it's great, though. Blur the lines, because that's all that's left to do. Everything is so damn exposed in this business. You got to blur the lines. Because you got to make people like, even if I'm sitting here questioning, like, I don't know if it's a work or not, mission accomplished.
You know what's interesting, too, is, like, he posted that photo of him and Sami from, like, a Ring of Honor match in 2007. I think, with Austin Aries, like, I've followed his career since, when he beat Samoa Joe for that Ring of Honor championship. When him and Roderick Strong were the tag champs. We'll talk about Generation Next. His first run in TNA as Austin Starr. I'm talking about a Star is Born, Trent. A Star is Born.
The real Star is Born. That's
yes.
right there.
And then, he's going back and forth his WWE run back in Ring of Honor. I mean, the dude, controversial and all, but I mean, the dude can go. He can work. I think he's proved that over the numerous years that he's been in the squared circle, and I think he's another one that's an asset. Again, controversy creates cash, as one Eric Bischoff once said.
That's right. It's a great line. It makes sense.
It does. It does.
True.
You know what it is too, and people hate on Bischoff because Bischoff, we got to talk about Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. They were in 2010. People say what they want, but there was a lot of great moments, and one of those great moments we just actually celebrated 9-year anniversary. I'm talking about the debut of Rob Van Dam beating Sting 1, 2, 3 in like 15 to 18 seconds. Trent. Then Sting kicks the crap out of him, and Sting, RVD, Rob Van Dam, United We Stand, teaming with Sabu against the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix. RVD looks to be coming in for more appearances, as he stated in a recent interview. So what are your thoughts about Rob Van Dam coming back?
All for it. Rob Van Dam's a very talented guy, man. Again, I felt his last run was rushed. Like, they really put him into the spotlight quick. I see why. He's Rob Van Dam, and he was young and spry, and he was coming off a really good run. He is older now, slightly slower, a little heavier. I don't know if you saw him. I saw him at PCW Ultra. He's looked a little heavier, but he's still Rob Van Dam. He's got a good name value, man. The dude is a Rob Van Dam, it's a thing. So if used right, if you don't force him down everybody's throat, if you don't make it like, hey, Rob Van Dam in his mid-late 40s is going to be a top guy, if you don't do that, we'll be fine. Use him accordingly is my only thing. Like the way Tommy's being used now, use those guys accordingly, because right now this company's about a lot of young people. So you don't need to put RVD over the top right now. Use him to enhance your product, not own your product.
Now, I have to say this to you because the 12-year-old in me smiles because the one time I met Rob Van Dam backstage, this was during him and Rey Mysterio as the tag champs. What you see is what you get with Rob Van Dam. He's just a cool guy, and he's just, like I said, very laid back. Now, I got to ask you, Trent, because I'm looking at this card. We got Taya Valkyrie, we got Jordan Grace, we got Katie Forbes. We got a lot of great talents going for the Fatal 4-Way, Knockouts Championship, United We Stand. Rob Van Dam's girlfriend, Katie Forbes, Chloe Hertz on WoW. What do you think about them bringing her up? Man, a lot of great talents coming in, and they're getting that shine.
Ton of great. I think United We Stand is going to be the show of the year. Every time I see that card, I'm like, how can anything beat this? This is a perfect card, and it's got an Ultimate X match on it. This is like mind blowing to me. So it's a perfect show. I think this is definitely going to be show of the year. It's crazy. I think it's going to beat all expectations, and I think all expectations are already high for this. So I think it's going to even surpass that. This is going to be a total hit. A lot of talent, a lot of new talent, a lot of talent outside the company. Incredible. I've never seen, you mentioned Katie Forbes. I've never seen her work. I've seen her online. Gorgeous girl. Never seen her work. How's her work? What do you think?
I gotta say she's not bad from seeing her on WoW, which I gotta say, if you've not checked out WoW, Women of Wrestling, they're coming back for season 2. They're opening up an all-women's wrestling school very soon.
Kidding.
Dude, the guy behind WoW, Jeannie Buss, who was the owner of the Lakers, is involved. David McLean, who was the guy behind Glow, the original Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
He's behind it?
Yeah.
He's the WoW guy? Oh, shit. Okay. That makes sense. I had no idea. Yeah. I didn't know much about who is doing WoW. Like, where's this coming from? But
most of those events are in California. They have more tapings coming in May. I mean, I'm so excited because Tessa's on that show. She's the WoW champion.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, Fire is none other than Kiera Hogan. You got a lot of talent there. Jessica Havoc's on the show. So many great people. I think the only difference, my dad and I were talking about this, because with Glow, like some of the original girls, that they were trained by Mondo Guerrero. A lot of these, They weren't like actual wrestlers. They were actresses.
Right.
So with WoW, it's like Glow, but you actually have wrestlers on it, like Cobra Moon's on it from Lucha Underground, Thunder Rosa there. Dude, there's so many great talents. If you guys are not checking out WoW, it comes on 9 p.m. on Fridays on Access TV right after New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it's on an hour before Impact.
What a block on Fridays now, huh? I know. New Japan, WoW, and Impact. Unreal.
Yes. So, what?
That's cool. I gotta check that out. I really haven't seen it. I don't know if I have access. I gotta check with my cable. I gotta see, but I would love to check it out. I'm sure I know a lot of the girls on there. Now, is she playing Tessa, or is she in a different name, or
she's the Born Legend. She's a heel. She's kind of like with Impact, but she's not undeniable Tessa. She's the Born Legend, Tessa Blanchard.
Gotcha. So Dave McClain, man, that's incredible that he is still around to do this stuff. That's unreal. Because Glow is I mean, Glow is legendary. I mean, you got the TV show on Netflix now. Have you seen those?
I have, and I think what's incredible about this, what really ties into it, is like I mentioned, Mondo was the trainer for that. Chavo is on the and dude, Shaw Guerrero is the ring announcer for WoW.
Is she really? I mean, what a Guerrero legacy involved in that, huh?
Exactly. And I think what's great about it too is like you have a lot of interesting characters. Like there's the disciplinarian, Amber O'Neill's on it as the Beverly Hills Babe. There's so many like talents and hungry talents on it. Katie Lee Burchill Winter is on it as the Temptress, I believe she's.
I love her, man.
Yes,
she is gorgeous. I think she is. I don't think anyone ever knew exactly how to write for her. Now you tell me how was it in WoW though? Are they doing right by her in WoW?
Oh yeah, she's teaming with a wrestler by the name of the Dagger. Her real name, I believe, is Michelle Blanchard. No relation to Tessa and all them. A different Blanchard. She's not bad. She's got like a fan. She's the Temptress. You know, all these guys want her. Her and the Dagger. It's interesting. Like I've known her work since the OVW days when she was going against the likes of Beth Phoenix and stuff like that. And her WWE run and the run as Winter and as the run as Katarina with Grado and Joe Hendry. So I mean, I was always I always thought she had talent. It's just you gotta use it. It's like you mentioned, you gotta write her into something. Like I mean, her and Angelina Love are lovers from another world or whatever it was back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And
That's
Angelina,
right? Holy shit, I forgot about that one.
and her and Angelina was hypnotized by Winter.
I forgot. Oh my god, what a flashback that one is. That's great,
dude. But
I think no one has ever known how to properly give her. And it's not a knock on anybody. I just don't. I think she's a very unique talent, and you got to give her the right role that she can really sink her teeth into. She's a very, very talented girl. She's got a great look, but it's like we've never been able to really tap fully into what she can do. And I'd love to see if we can maybe have another round of Impact with her to do that.
One other thing I just got to mention about United We Stand is we got the pre-show. The pre-show is a WrestleCase Pro Showcase with Kevin Matthews and Fala Ba Ba Ba. We got Rich Swann and Yamato for the X Division Championship. So I'm interested in Team Impact and Lucha Underground. We got Cage Moose, Eddie Edwards, and Johnny Impact against Drago, Daga, Aerostar, and King Cuerno, who is also El Hijo del Fantasma. So I think that's going to be very interesting. Dude, Sammy Callahan and Jimmy Havoc, Monsters Ball. That's going to be insane.
Did you see the Impact UK special? They had a match on that.
Yes, the MediaCon. That was a great match.
Yep, great match, and it was like a death match type of. So those two have chemistry, man. I'm looking forward to this one.
And the Ultimate X, we got Jake Chris, we got Dante Fox, we got Cotto Brazil, Pat Buck, Jack Evans, AAA, MLW, WrestlePro, Lucha Underground, Impact, all involved. Who do you think the sixth man's going to be?
Oh man, that's a tough call. The way this card's been booked. No guess is going to do it justice. Seriously, I couldn't even tell you. Now, I don't even want to take a guess. I can't. I wouldn't do it right. Now, it's been such a great card so far.
Now, Trent, I don't want to make you mad, but how pissed would you be if the sixth man was TJP?
I wouldn't be mad. No, I wouldn't be mad about it. I don't hate the guy. He was I met him once. He was really nice. He's a very talented guy. It's one of those things where I feel like we don't need him back on the roster. I don't need to see him weekly. I mean, my focus is on other guys now. TJ's been there. We've done it. But I wouldn't mind if he's on United We Stand. That's fine.
Right, two things I'll add to that. Number one, you're channeling your inner Dr. Dre. Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. That's right.
And number two, to quote Kyle's favorite person, Vince Russo, you got hate in your heart, bro, for TJP, right. Bro.
We love Russo, man. He's a Long Islander, too.
He is. All right.
I love the guy. I listen, I'll tell you what. I was just thinking about it today. I caught the podcasting bug by appearing on. I got a couple of buddies who do a show called Two Heels and a Face. They do independent wrestling in Chicago. They're a great show. So they invited me to be a guest a few times. I kind of got the bug from them. I always wanted to do it. Was a guest on there. Got the bug from it. And then Kyle, was basically the guy responsible for getting me into it because he really inspired me to really just jump into this thing. But Vince Russo's dedication to his pods, man, is what really I learned from that. If you're listening to his stuff, I might not be a fan of his. Anybody out there is not. The passion that he has for his podcast, because he's a Howard Stern guy. He grew up listening to Stern. So he's a great podcast host. And I'm like, man, this dude. I try to learn from him, man. Like the way that guy performs on podcasts. Love him or hate him, he's a very passionate guy and extremely talented podcaster. Dude, so I learned from it.
Only 7 days a week. There's constantly a show every day.
Unreal. Unreal. 10 shows a week. They do 10 shows a week on his network.
God dang. Dude, what the hell happened to Jeff Lane? I know he's got a show now, Truth and Consequences with Matt Coon. What happened with Jeff Lane?
He's still there.
Jeff
Lane's still there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still on the yeah. Jeff Lane's still on the brand. He does all the shows with Vince and everything. But the Truth with Consequences is like a whole different thing altogether. So he's that's on Westwood One, and that's like long form story. It's like kind of like what Conrad does with his guys. It's like Matt Coon's doing it with Vince on stuff that Vince is involved in. So it's long form discussion.
You know what's
awesome?
Well, you know what's funny about podcasts? Because you mentioned Conrad. I've listened to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, which Bruce Pritchard is now back on WWE Creative along with Jeff Jarrett, who we mentioned before. So
I got a thought about that when you're done with your thought.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so Bruce and Jeff Jarrett doing WWE Creative. Something to Wrestle with has been on the network with Conrad. I like 83 weeks, and I think, and I'll mention what cracks me up, but that's all I wanted to end there. So go ahead. What's your thought?
I personally think that those guys were hired back to prevent them from going to AEW. That's it. I am convinced, because not so much Jared, more Bruce, because Conrad is linked to AEW, obviously, as we see.
Yeah.
And that they would have made Bruce an offer, but like Vince is already rattled by AEW, which is mind blowing to me. Like the company hasn't even ran a show, and he's literally locking in the guys, they signed Robbie E in 2019. That blew my mind. I was like, you're signing Robbie E in 2019? Like, it's just crazy to me that the way WWE basically does is that they just hire anybody. They hire everybody, let's say that. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? There was a time where going to that company was like a big thing. And now it's almost like it's inevitable you'll go there. It's like, what are we doing here? I don't. It doesn't feel special. Like at one time, it used to feel very special to be announced to be there. And it's like every 2 weeks there's somebody being pulled from the indies to go there. And I think they did it. They took Bruce back to prevent him from going to AEW. And then I love what Conrad did. He went and booked The Undertaker for Starrcast. I'm like, that's incredible. Like what a shot back.
I think that was great to see The Undertaker at Starrcast, and I got to mention this. Like, you talk about Bruce and AEW. I think Arn Anderson, who is no longer with WWE, I could see him being there. Well, the connection 100%. With Dusty Rhodes. I mean, come on, how do you not?
I have not said this on any other podcast, but I had a really interesting theory.
Good.
And I don't know if anybody else has brought this up, but I started thinking about it. I said, how poetic is this? Think about this, Mike. How poetic is this that AEW is headed up by a Rhodes amongst the Young Bucks, but a Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes' son. The guy, Dusty, who was the head booker of Jim Crockett Promotions, who was the head number one competitor to Vince back in the day, who Vince ended up running out of business later on. And, when he hired him in the early 90s, he put him in polka dots. And Dusty, and even though Dusty ended his career in WWE as a trainer, but it's like another Rhodes might be the one to dethrone Vince at this. It's like, I thought it was really poetic that like you have another Rhodes challenging Vince McMahon again. It's like poetic that here that rivalry is again. It's just the son of the guy who was your number one threat back in the day too is back now, because Dusty was the head booker. He was the head booker of Jim Crockett Promotions, who was their number one competitor. And it's like the guy who you hired and put in polka dots and then whatever, then he went back to WCW. It's like now his son is here to avenge that. Like I was like, Cody's probably sitting there going, "You want to put my dad in polka dots, motherfucker? Let's see what's up," And like he's gonna go ahead and rattle his cage a little bit. But not to get too far from Impact, I just think it's incredible that a company that hasn't even ran a show yet has shaken the giant. That to me is incredible about pro wrestling today. The landscape is such that these guys have not even officially done an AEW show yet, and they have rattled that cage. And I'm not even a big fan of the Bucks and all that. I'm not a huge, Elite and Bullet Club guy. So I'm just looking at it from a straight business point of view. I think it's phenomenal what these guys have been able to do in a short amount of time.
I think with them, I think it's absolutely amazing. I think it's very apropos with what they're doing. I like that the Young Bucks are going to be taking on the Lucha I almost said Lucha House Party. Sorry, Lucha Brothers of Pentagon and Phoenix. I think that's interesting. I think the partnership with AAA is very interesting. There's a lot of stuff that they're going to do with AEW that I'm into. I think the whole wrestling, the whole wrestling bubble now, man. I mean, you look at what we got WrestleMania weekend. We got United We Stand. We got the MLW show right before that. So they're pretty much going like an hour, because I know Pentagon is wrestling LA Park on the MLW show, and they're doing it at the Melrose Ballroom in Queens, right? So then they go to 11 p.m. United We Stand. That's at the Rec Center. Dude, that's an hour drive. So boom, right after that, right over to Impact.
They got a lot going. I think he's wrestling, 3 or 4 matches in one day or something? It's insane.
It's insane. And
insane. They're the hottest commodity in pro wrestling is the Lucha Brothers.
I love
and they have no contract. That's a shoot, what you've been hearing online. They have no contract. They said, we want to work with anybody we want to work with. And nobody's going to say no to them, because those guys are so hot to any product they're on that nobody's going to tell them, no, you got locked down. They're like, nope, we want to do what we want to do. And people got them. And they work it out. That's what I think is phenomenal. I mean, they're on Impact. They're the tag champs right now on Impact. And so that's Aaron. You got MLW Aaron. You got these indies, unreal. They're phenomenal. They're great dudes. I know them from AEW. They're such great guys. Great dudes.
So to quote Noah, to make an NWA TNA reference, so like Julio De Niro, they're hot commodities.
Hot commodities. That's right, man. Julio De Niro reference. That's great.
Dude,
I missed that guy.
I missed him too. I was such a I remember seeing a show with him. There's a company called NWA Cyberspace, headed by Billy Firehawk, who's no longer with us. He actually wrestled Billy Gunn on one of those shows in New Jersey. I remember seeing that as a kid. Billy Gunn versus Julio De Niro before he came in as Kip James, bitch.
What was that? Easy Money, right? Was that the team? They were. What were they called?
Oh my God! Who? CM Punk and Julio De Niro?
No, it was Julio De Niro and ECW. He was.
Oh yeah, that's right. Him and Easy Money. That's right. Yeah. Oh my God, that's gonna bug me now. I gotta look this up. So yeah. So for those that don't know, Julio De Niro, before he was in NWA TNA, he was in ECW. He was at the end. Was that when was it Christian York and Joey Matthews in there towards the end too?
Man, I think you're right. Yeah, I believe that's correct. That was correct.
Yeah, because I remember, I think he was towards the end of ECW. I gotta look this up now, because this is really gonna legit bug me. ECW.
Him and Easy Money were hot commodity.
Come on, thank you. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was gonna bug me. Thank you. That's right. Dude,
whatever happened to Easy Money, man?
I don't know. He was good, and I remember, didn't he do the Styles class like AJ Styles? But he called it the Crash Landing, right? It was
Crash Landing. That's right.
Oh my God!
Man, whatever happened to Easy Money? That's one to put out there to listeners, huh?
Yeah. What? If anybody knows the whereabouts of Easy Money, geez. But yeah, Easy Money was dude, there were so many great talents in the early 2000s, around there. Dude, we'd be here forever. But dude, I gotta ask you something, man, and we'll bounce around here. But we talked about United We Stand. Eli Drake was supposed to go against Tessa Blanchard, and Eli Drake pretty much said no, channeling my inner Destiny's Child, but he ain't saying yeah. Dude, I gotta ask you, what do you think about the substitution of the penis flex himself? We're talking about Mr. Joey Ryan.
Man, I'm not a big Joey Ryan fan.
Me either.
I'll be honest with you.
Me either.
I don't. To me, people. My buddy was Basil from Backstage was making fun of me. He called me Cornette the other day. He's like, "Hey, all right, Cornette," but I don't like it. To me, it's not wrestling. It's way too goofy. It kind of takes away from it. Recently, the whole Priscilla Kelly thing, how she puked on his dick and all that stuff. It's what are we doing here? It's we're getting to a point where it's. I read a comment from somebody, and they were like, just don't call it wrestling. Because if you put it under the wrestling umbrella, it's you're going to tell me that this falls under the same thing as Lou Thez and Vern Gagne and things like that. It's this isn't wrestling. This is more exhibition, these more exhibition live action theater that's happening, or comedy. It's like exhibition comedy at this point that happens to be in a wrestling ring as a stage. It's not pro wrestling to me. It's too goofy for me. I just don't get it. I don't really get the appeal either. I was really thrown off by the title of the show's called the Penis Party. Oh. And I'm like, what does that have to do with pro wrestling?
I know, man. Doing? He's got Sue Young and all these names on it, Pac, and I'm like, that's great, that's cool. But I'm just the Penis Party, Joey. The Penis Party, really?
What do we say? If you're telling somebody, my thing is to an outsider, they would never understand. If your buddy's hey, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm going to this thing called a penis party. I mean, they're going to immediately think, exactly what you think.
What the fuck is going on here?
Right. So it's then people are going to laugh at it. They go, "What's wrestling?" And let's call it the penis party. Ugh. And then my buddies was like, "Why do you care what other people think?" I'm like, that's not the point. It's not me. I'm in the business. I know what the stuff is. It's like you want to get the whole wrestling is desperate to get the casual fan back. They haven't gotten that. I mean, as hot as the indies are, it is still a very small group of people watching pro wrestling compared to what it used to be in 1998 when 10 million people a week watched wrestling. There's not 10 million watching. There's just a loud, small subset watching, and they're very loud and they spend their money. You want the casuals back. But to a casual, if you tell them that shows are now called penis party, they're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? That's not pro wrestling. So I'm in that camp. Like I said, it's my opinion. People might not agree with me. They love it. They find whatever goofiness in it. But I look at it from business. How the hell are you going to get casuals back if you have shows called Penis Party and you show this guy flipping people with his dick? It's not going to look like the wrestling the casual fan expects to see. You know, that's it.
I'll add on to that. Okay, yeah. So I'll add on to that because you said it perfectly. Like you're in the business, you're doing producing, you're AAW, you're doing your thing, Trent. But I think to speak also for Kyle here, because we both are in the podcast realm. We both do our thing, with podcasting, like yourself, like many other wrestling fans. I think just as like a fan and people that have like interviewed these stars and interviewed a lot of great people and been around them, like you mentioned, Trent, from a business standpoint, you're like, okay, like we get it. But to the casual fans, like I could go tell my buddy, say, hey man, we're gonna go to the penis party, and they'll probably look at you like, what the fuck is that? And I'll go, oh, it's pro wrestling. Like, really? And you watch this stuff? Because then, like, they have like this, confused, this dumbfounded look, like what the hell? So I totally agree. It's the facial expression that kind of gets you about it.
It's true. It really is, and you gotta play to the wide audience. And I think wrestling today is worried about alienating its own audience because they're scared. Like, we don't want to lose the subset, like the guaranteed locked-in fans. But it's like, yeah, you don't want to lose them, but at the same time, you do want to appeal to the masses again, too. I mean, I recall, man, I remember back in the day, in 1998, at the hottest it was, you could not walk down the street without seeing somebody in either an NWO or Austin 316 shirt. Mm-hmm. You'd pass people left and right wearing those shirts. And now you don't. At most, you get a Bullet Club here and there.
Yes.
But you don't get that anymore, and that was a big deal at the time.
It was. And now I look at this, and I got to mention this to you as well, because we had a lot with Impact. We had a lot of pro wrestling tonight, Trent. I got to ask you, all right, so you and I have been through the trenches, the good, the bad, the ugly, the many directions, this way, that way with Impact Wrestling, just like a lot of fans who are listening to the show. All right. So I remember watching Impact at 3 p.m. on Fox Sports Net in 2004, and then when they were off Fox Sports Net, do you remember when they were like on the website for a little bit? They used to air the show on the website for like a hot minute?
Yes. It was like maybe a month, 2 months tops?
Yep.
It wasn't that long.
I know, and I remember watching it. Then they get on Spike TV, and oh my God, Spike TV, this is great. And the first ever matchup on the Spike TV show is AJ Styles versus Roderick Strong. And I'm like, this okay. This is great. We're going to go a different direction. Team 3D debuted that night. We're seeing the Alpha Male Monty Brown. Okay. Impact's rocking. TNA at the time. So then they keep going. They're on Destination America. And I myself, when this came up, I said to myself, what the hell is Destination America? And then it come to find out, Trent, I had it. So I was set with Destination America. So then Destination America on there for a hot minute. Then they go to Pop TV. And then I say to myself, what the hell is Pop TV? And then I find out, oh, I have Pop TV, so I'm set. And then now, the saying is, I believe it's if you have the internet, you have Impact. They're simulcasted with Twitch on the Pursuit Network, which Anthem owns. There's a lot of hunting shows, and I'm going to give a shout out to Chef here because he has introduced me to one Jimmy Houston. He does a lot of fishing. And by the way, people, if you've not seen Jimmy Houston, Google it. Just some of the funniest fisherman videos ever. And I'm telling you, Trent, you will laugh your head off. Search of Jimmy Houston. I'm putting respect on him. He's out there catching bass. He's kissing them on the mouth because that's some good bass right there. It's hilarious. I'm going to say this. There's a lot of hunting shows on that, but if you're not checking out some Jimmy Houston, what are you doing? So fans, check out Jimmy Houston. And I'm trying Jimmy Houston, man. All right, Fishman, you'll crack up. It's hilarious. Anyway, I digress. So the only wrestling show that's on Pursuit is Impact Wrestling, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, I don't get that channel." Blah blah blah. But now, I mean, from an accessibility standpoint, man, they're on Twitch. You get the replay on Monday at 6 p.m. You get Explosion now on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. I mean, there's a lot of accessibility and a very internet-oriented, days, man, now, as far as to watch Impact.
Absolutely. Look, that's the thing. No excuse. Numbers are good. I recall 2 weeks ago they had their biggest one.
Yep.
and the last week it dropped, and then we're back up this week, which was great. So I love seeing that. You're gonna have those off weeks with Impact. The thing is, I have not seen anyone do a cumulative number between Friday and Monday's replay, because you got to add all that up, which is nice. And then you got Pursuit in there too. Either way, I love the fact that it is so accessible, because there's been a couple times where it was a Friday night, so I might have been out, or I've been trying to catch it every week because of the podcast. I make sure that I am watching live, and I've been on it every week since they went to Twitch. There's been times where I've been out, and I've had to pull away, and I'll have it on my phone, kind of going. If I'm out with some people, I'll have it going on the table, just so I at least have a visual, and I'll go back and watch it again to get my notes for the podcast. But I love the fact that I can just be at a table at a restaurant, I can at least have it playing, or at least listen to have an earbud in if I needed to, or just have it on my table, or whatever. The fact that I don't have to miss it if I'm not home, which I think is fantastic. I think it's fantastic. What a great partnership with Twitch so far. Awesome.
Now, besides these shows, now I'm going to flip the script on you here, because you see this a lot with social media and Twitter, with how the social media universe is. So, all right, I'm going to throw out this scenario. Just give me your 100% thing about this, and you could agree, you could disagree, but you see this, and I'm going to try to put the shoe on the other foot, as some people here, Trent. So, are you ready for what I'm about to say?
Yes.
Okay. So, a lot of people, I see this on there because, you talk about excuses. There are some people that will say, oh, well, it's kind of a cop-out, isn't it? Because, and what I mean by the term cop-out, like, you're pretty much saying you have a crappy network that nobody gets, so you're just putting it on the internet. And like we mentioned the highest ratings with Twitch and the number-wise. So what do you say to those people that think it's a cop-out because they got a crappy TV deal?
I think it's something it's one of those things where, like, they're almost acknowledging that. They're trying to tell you, yeah, we get it. It's a young network that's not in everyone's house. We understand that. It is on broadcast TV, but since we know it's limited, here's another option for you. Now what are you going to say? They're acknowledging that. They're basically telling you, we know Pursuit's hard to find. It's a young network. It's not on everybody's cable system. It's not on mine. I don't have Pursuit. So they're taking accountability for that, and they say, hey, look, while we do have it is broadcasting, but here you go. So I think there's no argument there. Impact's basically telling you, agreeing with you, and saying, yeah, that's fine. That's why it's on Twitch. Here you go. And here's where you can be interactive with it. That's what I love about Twitch, too, is the interactive side of it, too.
Agreed, man. Now, I got to say this to you as well. So, now I'm going to go back to GFW for a second, because this is my encyclopedia being growing up. Because we were talking about this on one of the other shows I do. It's called Max Wrestling Podcast. I got my boys in the UK. Because we got to talk about this with GFW, right? Did you know that GFW had a TV deal in the UK?
I heard they did. Yes, I did. I don't know it wasn't on Sky Sports or anything, was it?
No. Do you know what the name of the network was?
What's that?
Boulder Creek TV.
Boulder Creek TV. Okay.
And
I know it's Boulder Creek in the UK.
There's apparently Boulder Creek TV. That was the deal that they were going to be on, but none of the tapings of those GFWMs had never aired. So what's funny about this is that I equated it to my real life, because on Long Island, New York, which I am a fellow Long Islander, there was a restaurant called Boulder Creek. It was a very popular chain. It's no longer, in New York. I don't think even the chain still exists, but that was a very good restaurant, Boulder Creek Restaurant. So that's why I laughed. I'm like, because when I think of Boulder Creek, I don't think of TV. I think of a great restaurant. Milk and cookies for dessert. Give me a steak. Give me a burger. Give me some good food. Yum, yum, yum.
Nice. Nice, man. Boulder Creek, huh?
Boulder Creek TV. And that's why I'm like, oh, that's just funny. And, like, that's the thing. Because, I mean, GFW, we've seen so many names. Like, it was originally NWA TNA, TNA. Then we went to Impact Wrestling, then GFW, then Impact Wrestling. What'd you think about, like, the GFW years, man? Because I remember TNA versus GFW in 2015 when, Jarrett came back and he went to Hall of Fame. And then they went to GFW. What'd you think about those years?
The GFW switch happened in 2017, right? It was
Yes.
officially put. I was there. I was at Slamversary 17, and that I heard a rumor. When I'm in line the next day for the TV tapings, and I heard a rumor. They're saying, oh well, I heard they're changing it to GFW tonight. And I was like, I'll believe when I see it, And then we start seeing that in the arena, and I'm like, oh god. And then I'm like, but to me, it was so goofy. I was like, what are we doing here? Why? I mean, I get it. I'm sure they were working a deal out. Things were in play. They were trying to do something. But, man, it was just like, I feel that was such a credibility killer at the time, because They went from TNA. They started calling it Impact Wrestling while still like running the TNA name kind of, in the background. The belt even said TNA on, stuff like that. And then you got this GFW thing thrown in the mix. So it's GFW and you got Impact being mentioned. It was like so goddamn convoluted at the time. And I'm like, why are we doing this? What are we doing here? Let's muddy the water. And then they went back, and then they went back to Impact. It's like, what the fuck? And I think that's one of the things where a lot of haters, they hang their hat on that. They use that. And I can't fault them for that part because consistency was not there. And Anthem recognizes that. Anthem gets it. And I know they were young in that time, and they were kind of early in that time with them, and things were still just transitioning. But like Anthem wasn't fully catching it yet, things like that. But I think it was the consistency is key, which we finally have now for the last while here. But it was a tough time. It was definitely a tough time to defend some of their moves.
All right, now I got to say this to you because all right, so we're actually celebrating some anniversaries this week, Trent. Did you know that?
No, do tell.
Okay. 9-year anniversary since the debut of Rob Van Dam on Impact TV when he beat Sting, like we mentioned. 9 years, Trent.
9 years already?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And the second anniversary is when we're taking it back. We're redoing it up. Jeremy Borash, Josh Matthews, they're arguing. The announcer feud and the night that Alberto El Patron makes his debut and beat Bobby Lashley for that championship.
Really?
That's already 2 years, Trent.
Now let me ask you this: Did you just run that off the top of your head, or you?
I prepped before this. I prepped before this, and I also I do remember watching it. That's all. I'm like, goddamn, 9 years and 2 years already.
Man, 9 years. That's phenomenal, man. I remember it. I remember the whole run. I can't believe that much time has passed. I watched a lot of Impact Wrestling in my life.
You know what it is? I'm gonna throw it here. Do you remember the first time that you and I actually had a conversation ever on social media?
I'm trying to recall. I was thinking about this before we started this show today. I'm trying to remember what that was.
Okay.
Refresh my memory.
So what I do, fans, and I'll put the link on my SoundCloud here. It's at Impact Rewind, and I do at SM Show 1. That's my main page for all the shows. But Impact Rewind's like my page for Impact Wrestling, right? So I put a lot of my interviews that are Impact related on there, and one of the people I actually had on that I believe you commented on was I had the privilege and honor of interviewing the OG, one of the original Impact knockouts, if you will, Miss Trinity. And I remember you commenting you're like, wow, that's great. That's a great get. That was our first ever interaction, Trent. You commented on my interview with Trinity.
Oh, man. When was that now? What year was that?
That was like about a year or two ago. Almost going on a year now, man.
About a year. Wow. Yeah, I love Trinity, man.
She was so good. She really was so good. That moonsault, dude. The fall from grace off the cage.
She was great. I just heard her on... Remember Goldilocks? Remember Goldilocks in the early days?
Yeah.
Goldilocks has a show on the brand on Russo's network. It's called Goldie's Closet, and she had Trinity on.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. I mean, they were talking about being they're the original TNA Knockout girls, and they were talking about early days. And they mentioned a Trinity spot that I'll never forget. It was her match with Kid Cash, and a lot of people don't remember this one, but she fought her, and her top came off during the match because she slid into the ring, and as she's sliding, Kid Cash kicks her on the back, but where he kicked her was the strap of her top. And the top fell off, and she's struggling to keep it on. But I mean, she was talking about it on the Goldilocks podcast, and they were all like talking about it and how they had to like kind of get her strap back up. It was so hilarious. But it's on one of the weekly Wednesday pay-per-views.
Nice.
I love that feud with Kid Cash was great.
Oh my God, yes it was, dude. I gotta listen to that Goldilocks thing now. You know when I think of Goldilocks, I think of her. I think of the Hippity Dippity, man. I'm talking Moonshadow was her real name because she has that hippie vibe about her.
Yeah. She was great, man. Goldie was so cool.
She was. I mean, dude, Abyss and Alex Shelley. That was the first time we ever saw Alex Shelley in Impact TNA.
It's true. She was. I'm telling you, Goldie was one. She's an OG, man. It was. You had Goldie. You had Athena. I don't know whatever happened to Athena. Desire. I don't know what happened to Desire. And you had Alexis Lurie, who's now
Mickey James. Yes.
Oh man, those are some of the original girls, man. They were there from the early and Trinity, so early days, and then the cage dancers. But
you know what it was too. One of the cage dancers was actually a wrestler. It was Lollipop, and go back to WoW. Lollipop used to be in a tag team with Amber O'Neal.
That's right, she did. I think she wrestled on Shimmer too for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, dude. All right, now you see, people. This is just the true wrestling fans right here, because dude, we're taking it back old school, all over the place.
Oh man, we're all over the place.
It's awesome, though. That's what I love about this. We get a lot of passionate, great people like yourself, Trent. So I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No problem, dude. I got to mention this to you as well, because I remember. All right, now we're talking about Gail Kim here. Like, obviously, we're talking about Awesome Kong. We're talking about so many great matches. Gail Kim, huge integral part of TNA Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call it. But dude, we got this feud now. Tessa Blanchard. I'm personally looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to seeing Tessa and Gail lock up.
Big time. Me too. It's the best of one generation versus the best of the other. Mm-hmm. Tessa so quickly has become the best, and to take on Gail, it's crowning. It's a crowning achievement for Tessa to have that feud, and I think it's great for Gail to pass the torch. That's what this match is. It's passing the torch. You know it's going to be incredible.
Oh,
that's the thing. You already know.
Now, you were there for Bound for Glory, and you were there for, the recent Slammiversary. We got to see the emergence of this guy, and you know where I'm going with this. Dude, Killer Cross. We're talking about Johnny Impact. We're talking about Taya. What an ending with, Brian Cage get that low blow. Johnny Impact nips up. They're beating the crap. Moonlight drive on Brian Cage. Killer Cross is just sitting there maniacally laughing. Dude, what an upcoming events for Killer Cross going on a year into the company. We're going to see what we saw in AAA, what we've seen in Lucha Underground. We got a heel Johnny Impact and a heel Taya Valkyrie.
Incredible. I didn't see it coming at all. At all. I knew the heel turn was coming. I felt it was coming. I did not see it happening on that show, on the last episode, and the way it did. I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant writing. And it got me. I was so in. But Killer Cross, I got to talk about Killer Cross. This is the guy. To me, this is the next star. Because I remember what attracted me to Killer Cross was, I'm like, this guy isn't just like a heel, right? Like, you see him, he's not a bad guy. He's an angry bad guy. I'm like, no. He's a sociopath. You can be a psychopath, but he's a sociopath because he thinks the Killer Cross character thinks he's right, and he's a just guy. Like, I'm a very just individual. I'm just doing what I think is right. This is what I need to do for me, for society, for Impact Wrestling. But he's psychotic. He's doing it like in the evil way, most evil way possible. That to me is such a brilliant character. That's what attracted me to him, because like, this dude is a sociopath. And he's doing it great. That's awesome, man. What do you think about it? You tell me.
Now, we both, like, you've talked to him. I've had him on the show a number of times. Getting into that guy's mind, I think he's a guy that was influenced by the likes of Brian Pillman. We're talking about the loose cannon Brian Pillman here, dude. Yeah. His character, I like him as the White Rabbit on Lucha Underground. He's been undefeated in AAA. He wants the AAA championship. We just saw that promo. In Impact Wrestling, the short amount of time that he's been there, whether he's with Austin Aries, whether he's with Money Moose, whether he's going against Johnny Impact, aligned with Johnny Impact, dude, he has got such a future. I think him and Cage are going to have some incredible matches in the future. I think we're going to see a world title run with him. It's just a matter of time, and I think he's really one of the most exciting parts of that television program.
100%. I think people have really taken to him, man. He's the future of the company. He's such an incredible dude, and talent, man. The look, the portrayal, everything about him is a star. And I love what he's exactly, again, another guy who's very committed to the cause. You see him online. You see how he puts over the company, he puts over what he's doing, the character. It's awesome.
And with me, when I see him throw that Doomsday Saito suplex, I think of Terry Bam Bam Gordy. I'm thinking backdrop driver. I'm thinking Mr. Saito, the Japanese legend himself. I love the way he hooks that.
Oh, I love it. It reminds me of Terry Gordy. Saito reminds me of a somewhat forgotten guy from around about 10 years ago, I would say.
Takeshi Morishima.
That's it. There it is. I was getting to it. I was setting you up to see if it came out before I said it. Takeshi Morishima, man, what an underrated talent that guy is, huh? Let's not to deviate too much, but what the hell happened to him?
Dude, I remember that match with Brian Danielson, the American Dragon. Brian Danielson got that detached retina in that match. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. There's so many great matches with him. I think he did maybe one match for TNA at the time. I like Shinsuke Nakamura did a match on Explosion. I think Takeshi
Morishima did? Was it on the Wednesday nights? Was it the early days?
No, I think it was later on, probably like an Explosion match. I have to find it, but I think Takeshi Morishima did make an appearance in TNA.
I might have seen it at the time. I just don't recall.
Yeah, he's like one of those, like when Nigel did before he became Desmond Wolfe, and when John Moxley, Dean Ambrose did that one. Yeah, okay. It was around, I think, that time. But yeah, Takeshi Morishima, I think he's just retired, and I think he's just living the life, which is good. Good for him because he had great years.
He was great, man. I really liked the guy. He was a fight. I mean, his feud with Nigel was one of my favorite. I mean, Nigel beat him for the ROH title. Yep. And Nigel's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers and a good personal friend. So Morishima holds a special place in my heart for that feud alone.
Dude, give me some Kurt Angle, Desmond Wolfe. I'll watch that all day. Those series of matches, man, hell yeah.
Oh, my God. Listen, Nigel is a personal friend of mine. I really he's one of my all-time favorite. I mean, it was one of those things where I was a huge fan of his even before becoming personal friends, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy and talent, man. Oh, my God. Those feuds with Kurt, that feud with Kurt, I mean, he came in feuding with Kurt. I loved it.
Well, yeah, he just comes in, I'm Desmond Wolfe, boom, kicks the living crap out of Kurt Angle.
Awesome.
I loved it. Now,
off to the races. It was great. I mean, I wish this current team could have been the one writing for him. I really do.
Exactly, dude.
I really do.
I got to tell you something, because I remember in 2005 and going back with when he was Nigel McGuinness, like he had a match with Shark Boy on the Slammiversary pre-show, and then a couple months after that, he had a tryout with WWE. He wrestled Danny Basham, aka Damager, on Heat. So he was on WWE and TNA program in 1 year.
Yeah, he was. I used to tell him when he was before he started working for the company, when he was going through a bit of a downtime around the time the documentary came out. I said, man, don't ever think you didn't make it. I said, no matter what, you still performed in their ring, man.
Yep.
You can't say you didn't get to the stage. You got to the stage, and nobody can take these things away. I'm like you're a freaking global name, dude. You know, like people know who you are.
Like people know who Nigel McGuinness is. I'm in it to win it. The rebound lariat, the Tower of London. Come on.
I mean, even more so now. I mean, I'm so proud of him that he's there and he's doing what he's. I think he'll be in town tomorrow. He's going to be here. We're recording this on a Sunday night. I believe they're in town. They're in town tomorrow here in Chicago. Last time they came around, I believe it was, I want to say around December.
Yes.
And he got a hold of me and he said, "Hey, I'd like to see you. You know, you come to the show." I said, "No, I don't have tickets." He said, "Well, I'd like to see you. If you want to come by, I'll leave a couple tickets for you." So very nice of him to put me on and bring me in. It was nice to see my old buddy there, man, because he's so damn busy with them now. I never get to see the guy, so it was great to catch up.
See, this is where I put over Chicago, because WWE Raw is going to be in Chicago tomorrow. And Chicago's got a great fan base, so I got to give a shout out to you and the Chicago fan base, Trent.
It's a nutty fan base, man. We have so many indies who run here. I mean, AEW is the top dog. Let's not make no bones about it.
Yes.
Make no bones about it. AEW is the top dog in Chicago, where Sami Callihan is the champion. That's why they're the top dog. That's what he'll tell you. He'll tell you that they're number one because he's champion. But AEW, you got freelance wrestling, you got goddamn Galley Lucha, you got CSW. I mean, there is every style of W wrestling, in wrestling in Chicago. There's so many indies, and they're all doing something. Everybody's drawing somebody. The big names come here. I mean, MLW is just here. Raw's coming here. What's that other one? GCW, right?
Yes.
That's the other. GCW is here. I mean, everybody freaking makes a stop in Chicago. Impact hasn't yet, by the way, guys. If you're listening, please make this happen already. But it's like, God, man, there's so much. It thrives. Everybody's selling something. Everybody's selling tickets. The Chicago wrestling scene is off the charts. One of the hottest I've ever seen.
Trent, we covered a lot in this program. I'm going to tell you something right now. I got a couple final things I want to ask you about as far as the Total Nonstop Impact podcast goes. We'll get to that in a second, but I just got to say this to you. Anytime you want to come back on this program, you're more than welcome to. This has been a blast just shooting the breeze, talking some Impact and pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Dude, you're a phenomenal host. I'm so... I'm sitting here thinking we can go on for hours.
Yes.
And the way we've jumped into 2,000 topics with the baseline being Impact Wrestling. It's like this could be a 6-hour podcast easily.
Well, dude, I got to tell you something, man. I've listened to Total Nonstop Impact. Dude, what in the world? Because there's some weeks when Kyle's not on where you're soloing it. There's weeks when you're not on. And Kyle tried to do that on you, man, but you caught wind of it. You got in on the show.
I got it, man. He is, Kyle gets, Kyle needs a personal assistant to keep his life in order sometimes. I love Kyle, man. He's such a good he's such a good radio guy. He's also he's a guy who's a stern junkie, and he's a great co-host. I love working with him, and we have really caught wind of something special here, and it's a phenomenal. I'm so fortunate that I got put into that. I get to talk about my favorite company and do it with a good friend, a good host. It's all I can ask for.
I agree, and dude, you got your band Hemi, which, by the way, great music. Your song for with them is the official theme for Total Nonstop Impact. So I think that's great on your part as well, because you and Hemi are doing things, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah, HemiMusic.com. That's the band Hemi's we've been around since '03. And dude, we're on our recent album called Avalon. Just came out about a year ago, and we're riding that wave still. That's my baby. That's my baby, man. I've been with Hemi since day one, and it's what I love, man. It's my child. So, but yeah, we use the song "Revengeance" is for Total Nonstop Impact. That's the intro song. Somebody even said to me, they go, "Hey, you guys should use that. Impact should use that as their intro song to the show." And I'm like, just tweet them and let them know, brother. Just put it out there. Cause
I'm gonna tell you, that's a badass song. I've listened to Revengeance. I mean, I'm gonna do this since this is gonna be on SoundCloud and the HeelCast YouTube page. For those that want to check out Revengeance, I'm gonna put in the link. Everybody can check out the amazing video that is Revengeance. So much love to you on that front.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, it's the music video for it is right on our YouTube page, which is just youtube.com/Hemi Music Television, HEMI, Hemi Music Television. It's right there. So I think unbiased, I think it'd be an awesome intro song to a wrestling TV show. Now, I really do.
I gotta say this to you, Trent, with the show now, because I've learned something when we're listening to Total Nonstop Impact. So it is the Desi Hit Squad, Trent, the Desi, yes. And Chachagama.
Chacha means uncle.
Yes.
In the Pakistani or the Urdu and in Hindi language, Chacha means uncle. I was just talking to Rohit yesterday. We had him at AEW. I was just hanging with him. We were talking about Desi Hit Squad stuff, and so it was great. So yeah, I keep putting it out there. Desi Hit Squad, but not Desi. Now Josh keeps calling it Desi. I go, one of these days, Josh Matthews, you're gonna hear our show and you're gonna know how to pronounce this. But yeah, no, I'm glad to be educating the listeners because and Chacha Gama, because when they called him Chacha on TV, I go, that's hilarious because Chacha means uncle, and I'm like, oh, Chacha, no. I just think it's funny, man. So it's cool to understand some of that sometimes.
Now, I got to also say this to you because it's kind of become among infamy with the show, Trent. So Kyle is now Carl.
He's Carl, thanks to Rich Swan. So I was with, we were hanging at Warrior Wrestling, which is a promotion in Chicago, another one in Chicago, Warrior Wrestling. And Rich I was at the show hanging out. Rich was there backstage. We were just talking. I said, "Hey, want to do a drop for my podcast?" He goes, "Yeah, no problem." And I said, "It's hosted by me and Kyle. It's called Total Nonstop Impact." So I hit record. I said, "All right," because he was running to catch the bus going back to the hotel. He's like, "All right, let's go." He nails it. I go, "Awesome, man. Cool. Thank you very much. I'll see you." Hugged him, later. And I sent it off to Kyle. I don't even listen back to it. I just sent it off to Kyle. And Kyle just replies with, "Carl?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "He called me Carl." And I was like, and I listened to it. I'm like, oh, shit. So he said, Trent Carl. But Kyle's magic of editing, he's a fantastic editor. He's able to take that part out of it. And we still got Rich saying the rest of it, the plug.
Oh, that was funny, man. And I got to tell you something, because we talk about there's a Daisy Hit Squad. There's the Rascals, the tag team circuit. We got Reno Scumbag, who was also in the GFW days, because we talked about GFW. A lot of great talents with Impact. And speaking of great talents, man, I listen to Total Nonstop Impact. You got the backstage boys with Basil, not Basil. So what's the deal now with Basil and Kyle? Is this, or Kylie, as he calls him? What's with this feud? I mean, you guys put in 2 hours of just Basil and Kyle going at it.
Oh my God.
We're going to get more of this, I'm going to assume.
You know what? It's inevitable, right? I mean, look. So Basil and I do another podcast called The Backstage Boys, which is focuses on Chicago independent pro wrestling, but from a production standpoint. Because we're backstage. Basil's the official photographer for AEW. He also does. He's on Impact. He did Homecoming, and he did the TV tapings there, and he's going to be doing United We Stand. So he's got that, and I believe he's doing the Philly show, which we're both going on for. But so Basil is he's my buddy. It's like my brother, So we're here, and there were a couple of times where so when Kyle couldn't make it, I said, "Hey, let me tap Basil. Why don't you jump in and do it with me?" So it was Backstage Boys invasion of the podcast, and you got Kyle over there who wasn't taking too well to that, being replaced by another guy, because Kyle doesn't mind when I do it solo if he's in his absence. But hey, I brought somebody else and feeling replaced, and then they started getting into it, and then lo and behold, we had a feud, man. But it was all in fun. It was great. But the great thing was, Mike, was that the fans, the listeners, holy shit! I don't know if you saw some of these comments. People really dug into this feud, man.
I did.
People were all about Team Kyle. Screw Basil. No, he's okay. Oh my god! And then we had the showdown, man. The showdown was epic when Basil and Kyle met on the episode. And yeah, you're right. The first hour was just me playing referee with them. I was Johnny Bravo there, man, playing referee between these two idiots. So it was something else. But I gotta say, one of our highest rated episodes to date. Go figure that.
Man, we're gonna
controversy creates cash.
There it is, dude. There's a lot more to come with Total Nonstop Impact. I'm gonna look forward to the next episode. We got a lot of great content out there promoting Impact Wrestling. We got HeelCast. You got myself on Bodega along with Jorge Chef and the Switch Babe herself, Courtney Summers. It's great to see just a lot of people talk about pro wrestling, Impact Wrestling, what have you. There's a lot of great content out there, and I mean, like I said, same with you, man. Just blessings.
Thanks, man. I love the Impact. The online community is great. Like, especially all of us, the podcasters and the regular commenters. I mean, there's some guys who are just, they are like our staple spokesmen. Like I see, I see a bunch of guys out there. Like Colby Cooper's one of the guys I always think about, because I always see him in my, talking about Impact. And this other guy, Cody, I call him CV Cody. I don't know if you've seen him online. Like these are two guys I think of. I always see them talking Impact all day long. Kester Nero's another guy. These guys are just all over stuff online. Then you got us, the podcasters like the HeelCast, the Bodega, you got Kyle and I. I mean, there's so many guys. It's such a great community, and I love that we're all talking about this together. We're all we all love this thing. It's all our little secret here, and we're having fun with it. I truly enjoy it though, man. It's my number one company. I love it. I love it to death. I love everybody who supports not only myself and Kyle on our show, but all the other shows too, like your show and anybody else who's doing it. The Clock Cleaners is another one. Adam and Rose show. Anybody who's doing a Impact podcast, we're so supportive of one another. Which I think is great.
One last thing before I have you promote the social media. God dang, we've both been on his show. The Taxman calling it quits after you.
Oh man,
Taxman, we love you, brother.
Taxman was a great podcaster, Impact Wrestling podcaster. I love the Taxman. He had me on his show once. I truly love the guy. He was such a good dude. He's a Canadian guy, so he's already nice by default. But
Yes.
such a nice guy, man. But yeah, he retired. He retired from podcasting. But I believe he's keeping the channel up, right? And he's the archive is up there, so definitely go back and listen to some old Taxman guys. He's a great the Six Sided Podcast. He's a great dude.
Brother, to put a bow on this is where I step back. Promote Hemi again, where we can find you with Hemi, Backstage Boys, Total Nonstop Impact. The floor is yours, sir.
I got a lot to promote. All right, here we go. I'm going to kick it off. Personal links. You guys can find me at Twitter and Instagram at Vanilla Joke. It's just like it sounds, Vanilla Joke. Find me on those. Also on what else, man? God damn. All right, well let's go. I'm trying to. It's all over my. I got so many things to plug here. All right, Hemi. You can find Hemi at hemimusic.com. All the links to all our social media are there, but just type in Hemi Music on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Hemi Music, HEMIMUSIC comes right up. That's my metal band. My other band, I have another project called Toxic Rocket. It's a punk band. Check that one out. Now the podcasts. So we have Total Nonstop Impact is available on Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Spotify. Same as the Backstage Boys, available on all those platforms. Connect with us on all of them. YouTube, we're on the I'm all over the place with all these plugs, man. I have so much to plug here. I don't know what the hell I'm saying anymore.
And don't even worry about it, because I'm the
wait. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna get it. Here we go. All right, here we go. Let's stick to Total Nonstop Impact on every major podcast platform. We are also featured on the Impact Lounge YouTube channel. Take a look at us there. That's BQ's old channel, the legendary BQ, the number one guy who kicked off a lot of this Impact Wrestling reporting years ago. He was the man. Were you a BQ guy? Like, were you a BQ listener back in the day?
I was actually on one of the King of the Mountain podcasts back when Eddie Edwards won the title back in October of 2016. So I was one of the original guests on the King of the Mountain podcast.
And that's BQ's a legend in Impact Wrestling news history.
Oh, he is. So yes.
He was very kind to invite us onto his platform. So the Total Nonstop Impact podcast is now featured on the Impact Lounge channel on YouTube. And again, like anywhere podcasts are found. Same with the Backstage Boys. Anywhere podcasts are found, you can find Total Nonstop Impact on social media at We Talk Impact on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Backstage Boys is the BSB Show on Twitter and Facebook. No Instagram for the Backstage Boys. I think I got everything out there, guys.
I think you did. You know what's funny, too? Because I'm expanding my brand besides my website, which you guys can check out, StephenMikeShow.com, and SoundCloud, MCLarkin92, where you're going to hear this show, and the HeelCast YouTube. So, dude, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, got a website, and YouTube, but I've expanded like you did, like you mentioned, like these iHeartRadios and all that. Like, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on Breaker, I'm on Anchor, all these. Dude, there's so many platforms for podcasts, it's just insane. Like, just follow me everywhere. Just type it in, boom, you'll get it. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. You know what, I was just looking at your last Bodega episode, I was looking at the links, and I'm like, yeah, Anchor and Breaker, what the hell are these? You know, I'm like, where do these come from now?
Well, I have to give credit. I'm going to say this. Robert does wrestling news on the show. Robert hooks us up with that. Robert is great. That's how I learn with Robert, and just like I said, with the podcast community being united as it is, you get to learn about a bunch of different things. And I think that's the wonderful part about podcasting.
It's fantastic, man. So I saw yours. I thought I had us on everything, but man, I saw yours, and I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, this is Anchor and Breaker now too. Another fortunate thing too, I got to mention, the Impact Lounge. So BQ's Impact Lounge. He was running off of Podbean, and he had a feed over to iTunes too, and it was sitting dead for years, for almost a year now. Nothing been uploaded for a while. I contacted BQ and I said, hey man, is your RSS feed still up? Like, is your podcast feed still going? He goes, yeah, I'm paying every month for it. Nothing's going to it. I'm like, why don't we just post the Total Nonstop Impact pod to your feed too? Because he had a ton of built-in listeners who were just sitting there, you know? And he said, go for it, man. So I went ahead and I fed it there. So now our show, Total Nonstop Impact, is also featured on the Impact Lounge, iTunes, and Podbean feeds. So there's even more ways to listen to Kyle and I.
Okay. Good.
We're all over the place, man.
All right. So I'm just going to mention this as well, folks, before we close it out. And Trent, I'm going to give you the final word. But I'm also going to add in here because Kyle from We Talk Impact is officially on Twitter, KL_TNI. So if you guys want to follow right. Kyle, you can check out Kyle.
Yeah, he's a shithead on there, too. So follow him there.
Well, Trent, dude, this has been a blast. We're definitely going to do this again in the future. Do you have any final words for the listeners, the Impact fans, and just any final words in general, sir?
My first final word is I am embarrassed at how poorly I did my plugs. I'm kicking my. I'm so. You've heard my shows. I'm so much better at my plugs. Yeah, I was because when you said plug everything, I'm like, oh god, where do I start? Yeah, so many goddamn things to plug. So I'm like all over the place. I'm gonna do that better next time we do a show.
Oh, good man.
But just to put a bow on the whole thing, I really want to thank all the listeners, man. I cannot even tell you, Mike, how receptive people have been to Total Nonstop Impact and the Backstage Boys for that matter, but Total Nonstop Impact, I mean, the amount of people who interact with Kyle and I weekly and give us such great feedback, I'm super appreciative, and they're all Impact fans. I love fellow Impact Wrestling fans, you know, who are passionate like we are. It's a great thing. I've met amazing people through it, yourself included. It's so cool to be a part of this community. I love the company. I'll be going to the Windsor tapings that are coming up. I'm driving up for those. So if anybody wants any insight, any insight I want to have, I'm not going to give away anything, but I'll give some perspective, of my trip once I get back. If you want to definitely talk about that, Mike, we can do that for sure. Yeah, man. But dude, I'm just so happy to be a part of the Impact community in terms of like not just being a fan, but getting to talk about it with other fans too. And people, you guys are great.
Thank you so much. And Trent, thank you so much for your time. And folks, you can check this out on SoundCloud, MCLarkin92, and the HeelCast YouTube page. This will be out within the next day or two. So I just want to thank you all so much for listening, and have a great night. And for Trent Zuberi, my name is Michael Larkin. Thank you so much.